Welcome, everybody. I'm Marc David, founder of the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, and here we are in the Psychology of Eating podcast. I'm with Hanin today. Welcome, Hanin.
Thank you so much.
I'm so glad we're here. Tell me where you are right now and where you're from.
Yes, so I'm originally from Lebanon. I'm Lebanese. But in August, we moved to Turkey. So now we are in Turkey we've been here for about 6 months now. And I'm here with my small family.
Oh, well, good for you. Congratulations. I've been to Turkey once and I found it to be a very beautiful and special place.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, good. I'm so glad for you. So, Hanin, if you could wave your magic wand and if you can have whatever you wanted with food, with body, what would that be for you? What would be your big wish?
That would be for me to let go of the fear of gaining weight.
How long do you think you've had that fear?
Since forever, since teenage years.
So since teenage years, could you take a guess? Roughly what age would you have started thinking that thought, oh my goodness, I can gain weight, that would be bad?
Maybe 15 years. When I was 15 years.
Yes, yes. So where do you think you got that idea?
For the longest time, I was the only chubby child in my family. So I was constantly like hearing, stop eating this. Oh, you gained weight. So all these comments, I always used to hear them. And when I was actually 15 years, I had some sort of depression and I gained a lot of weight. And then I decided to drop it and I went on a diet at that young age. And then I lost some weight, but then that fear of maybe I'm going to gain it back, maybe tomorrow, maybe after tomorrow. So since then, I think I got that.
So when you were feeling pressure from the adults in your world, was it mostly family or was it friends? Like, where did the pressure come from in your mind?
Mostly from my father's side, the family, and definitely from school, from my peers and my teachers.
Interesting. So you'll have to educate me for a moment. I know in my home country, the United States, there's a lot of, weight hate and weight prejudice. And it's, we're very clear here that, people shouldn't gain weight or people shouldn't be chubby. There's a lot of judgment around it. Is that the same where you grew up in Lebanon?
Yeah. Yes. As in the US, we still have and we still think that there's one size fits all, like a body shape or a way to eat. Also, when it comes to marriage and getting married, and for example, when you get a baby and then after you deliver the baby, oh, you need to lose the baby weight, you need to take care of your body and so on. So yeah, it runs in our country.
Fascinating. Yeah, it seems to be more and more of a global phenomenon these days.
Yeah.
So are you wanting to lose weight these days?
Not really. I've worked a lot on my own relationship with food, and I feel that I have reached a place where I'm super satisfied where I am when it comes to food and my body, and I'm very relaxed into it. I enjoy food. I enjoy eating. I'm very mindful when I eat. I used to have those guilt and shame when I binge eat or emotionally eat. Now I'm super aware of when I am binge eating and I'm emotionally eating. And sometimes I simply let myself have that craving that I really want, which rarely happens these days, maybe once or twice a month this strong urge to binge. Compared to the old days, I would like have those cravings five days a week.
Mm.
So I'm really happy with that. The only thing I still need, I feel that I need to work on is the fear of gaining weight.
Yes, yes, yes. So, how old are you?
I'm 29.
29.
Yeah.
And you're married?
Yes, I'm married and I have two daughters.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, are you working as well? Are you staying at home these days?
I recently graduated from the institute,
Mhm.
and I am practicing coaching. I have three clients now, so you can say like it's a part-time job. And because of the COVID and the situation we are under, my kids are online learning. So most of the time we are at home, and I find the time to manage the coaching sessions and stuff like that.
Hmm. Does your husband know about what you go through in your mind around weight? Does he have any idea?
Yes and no. I'm not a person who like I openly talk about those things to anyone.
Mhm.
It's only my mom and my sister. They are the closest people to me. He knows that I had issues with food, but not in details, or like he's not that type of person who notices when I am binging or I am eating. And yeah.
Mhm. So how is your mom and your sister in terms of their relationship with their body, their relationship with their weight?
Mm. Uh, my mom has been struggling with a lot of diseases. She has hypertension and diabetes. So now she is on a journey of like self-discovery and um empowering her inner world to actually step beyond those diseases. And she is doing great. She had weight issues in the past, but it wasn't like very big deal. So she would stand on the mirror and like look at her tummy, for example, but then she moves on. She is the only person in my family who didn't criticize my eating a lot. So I'm very grateful for that. My sister, she is also like she has her own challenges with food, but again, it's not very major.
Mhm. So when your worries come up, oh my goodness, I'm going to gain weight.
Mm.
Do they come up at particular times? Meaning whenever I eat, when I'm hungry, at night when I'm in bed, like
Mm.
when do you notice that fear?
I notice it when I am not aligned with myself. Like I feel I'm not in my body, or I'm passing through a rough period, and I feel overwhelmed with, for example, what is going on in the world. I feel detached, and then suddenly I start like check myself in the mirror. Oh, for example, I need to. I feel like I don't want to gain weight in my tummy area, or or my arms. It's not very related to when I'm eating, but when I feel like I'm detached from myself.
Hmm. So, and you can get detached from yourself when it sounds like things are somehow stressful for you. Is that true?
Hmm. Yeah. Uh, I'm not a person who likes to multitask. So whenever I am juggling with more than one thing, for example, the kids at home, I need to take care of the house. The kids are fighting, and I have a session, and then I need to do this and that and grab some things. I feel like I am not in me anymore. So when I let this, it's like how do you say it, a necklace, and those beads, when the necklace is broken and then the beads flow. So a day after a day, when I'm not centered, I feel I'm not centered, I get those I don't want to gain weight moments. So
Yes.
it's a day after day. It's not like one moment and then it's gone.
Yes. So. How does it go away, do you think, when those thoughts come, things are stressful, you're multitasking, things are happening that you wish weren't happening, just want to be able to focus on one thing? How do those thoughts eventually stop? What do you think makes them rest
Mm.
for a while?
Mostly when I meditate and do breathing techniques, and when I like connect with my mom and my sister.
Hmm. It's good to notice that connection
Mm.
helps, connection with other human beings or breathing and meditation. We can sometimes look at that as just connection with myself
Mm.
in a deeper way that doesn't involve my mind. Meditation is just really dropping in and quieting the mind, and breathing is just focusing on breathing.
Mm.
Interesting. So, do you weigh yourself?
I used to,
Hmm.
not anymore. I don't have a scale, and I don't know how much I weigh now.
Hmm. That's great. I'm glad
Yeah,
you're doing that.
yeah.
How often do you speak with your mom or your sister?
Every day.
Are they in Turkey as well?
No, my mom is still in Lebanon. My sister is working in Sudan.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But you're able to keep in touch with them every
yeah,
day,
definitely.
and
Yeah,
that feels supportive to you.
yeah, 100%.
Hmm. And in general, would you consider yourself a fast eater, a moderate eater, a slow eater?
Um, I am a moderate to a slow eater.
Hmm. Yeah, great. And I'm going to just be bouncing around a bit here because
Yeah.
that's how my mind works. So I appreciate you hanging in there with me. So when you're thinking thoughts of, oh my goodness, I'm going to gain weight, have you ever imagined what it would actually be like? Like, what would my life be like if this worst fear came true and
Mm,
I gained a bunch of weight?
mm.
What would be the terrible thing that happens that you're bracing against?
Mm. It's like breaking a tie I made with myself, or breaking something I promised myself. I don't know why it's coming like that.
Hmm. So you feel like somehow you would be letting yourself down.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you would be letting anybody else down, or is it just you? Does anybody else come in to mind when you think of that?
Um, my dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because it's him and his side of the family that they gave you messages, don't gain weight,
Yeah.
lose weight. Are you in touch with your dad?
I try to. Uh, I talk to him twice per week,
Hmm.
maybe. Yeah.
How's your relationship with him these days?
Um, the space, like those 6 months. Those 6 months actually gave me space to like weigh our relationship.
Mm.
My dad is a narcissistic person. Everything revolves around him. So I didn't understand that when I was younger. Now, of course, I do. And I know that everything he says, all the comments he, he, he says, it's all because of how he thinks. It's not because of me. So in the past, I would think that, oh, it's because of me. I did something wrong. But now I understand, and actually I embrace the fact that this is who he is. But
Mm.
I feel that maybe what I passed through in the past, I still didn't like heal with it or overcome it, especially that he's still the communication between us is still the same.
And when you say it's still the same, what's the same about it that doesn't work for you?
um it's always about him. So I feel that sometimes it's not like I'm the parent, but I don't have that support, the father support that I always wanted, but I never had.
Well, I'm first of all, I'm so, pleased and honored that you're able to share about this.
Yeah.
And I think it's such an important place that we've just gotten to right now. And, here you are, and the primary challenge is I'm afraid of gaining weight.
Mm.
And we've at least made a connection that a big piece of that is I'm disappointing my father.
Mm.
And a big part of your relationship with your father is that you've never quite had the father that you wish you had.
Yeah.
And just so you know, that makes perfect sense to me. It really does. It's every child's wish, I believe. Every child wishes to have two parents who love them and love each other. It's very simple. When children are raised in love, they tend to thrive more. When we as children know that you're loved no matter who you are, then we can relax and we can potentially grow up to be healthier human beings. And it sounds like from an early age, you really didn't have the kind of fathering that you wanted, because if he truly is self-centered, if he's a narcissistic personality, it's very difficult for that kind of personality to embrace another human being and really track them emotionally.
Yeah.
Because everything is, like you say, it's about them. And they don't notice how you're doing. They don't necessarily notice what you need. So to me, what I'm guessing is that there's a place in you, and this happens to so many adults, when we didn't have the parenting we want, or we wanted, or we still don't have it. On the one hand, it's natural to still want it, because I never had it as a kid. And now I'm even realizing that I never had it. And now I'm realizing this person's faults. And I'm realizing, okay, why they couldn't show up and why they're still not showing up. But even as you relate to your dad today, you still feel that. Mm-hmm. So to me, I would think that there's a part of you that when you're talking to your dad, you're not 29-year-old Hanin, the young woman, you're, a 13-year-old Hanin who's wanting her dad's love. And you probably got the message in your mind early on that my dad will love me if I'm not chubby. My dad will love me if I lose weight. And that's the one thing you could do. Like the one thing you could do without a doubt, so you know he approves of you, is to not be chubby. So if you ever gained weight, that means you lose your childhood dream, which is, oh, here's proof that my dad loves me. So right now, your body, to the 13-year-old in you, your body is proof right now that your dad at least can love you, because this is the body he said he wanted for you. Mm. So that means my father, maybe he loves me, or at least he can love me. Gain weight, he doesn't love me. And all I'm saying is that's the young girl in you who's looking for love from her dad. And I think what happens is, for adults, there's different points on our adult journey that we start to realize, oh, I'm an adult now. And there's certain places where my parent or parents I'm a little more advanced than them in certain places. I'm a little more mature in them as in certain places. I'm more conscious than them in certain places. So there's a place where even though you're 29 and your dad's older than you, there's places where you're just more present and aware and more wise. And that's very confusing to us because wait a second, this is my dad. He's
Yeah.
supposed to be the big person. He's supposed to be the adult. So I believe on one level, that's a big piece of the work that you're doing.
Mm.
So you can say to me, I have this fear of gaining weight. You mentioned to me that the fear comes up when you're under stress. It
Mm.
almost doesn't matter what kind of stress it is. It could be the world
Yeah.
stress. It could be personal stress going on in your house today. But as soon as your system registers stress, that fear comes up.
Mm.
And to me, that makes sense because oftentimes when we are in stress or we're in upset or in anxiety or in fear, all the old fears come up
Yeah.
at the same time. It just lets everything come to the surface.
Mm.
So when you're in stress being a mom and trying to work at the same time, all the old stresses just surface in the moment. And in a strange way, that's a good thing because it's showing you something more interesting and deeper that wants to be addressed.
Mm.
So if this was a reality TV show and I could win $10 million if I can help you with letting go more and more of the fear of gaining weight, the main place I would work on would be with main place would be with you and your relationship with your dad.
Mm.
Because as you're able to feel more empowered there, not just directly with him, but as you're able to take the experience of, okay, here's what it's been like for me growing up being the daughter of my father. Wasn't so easy. And I still have this fear that if I gain weight, I lose his love for sure. So any chance of my dad's going to show up as a good dad who loves me goes down the drain if I gain weight. I think that's the child's fear
Mm.
that you have in you. I can say more and I will, but how is this landing for you so far? What's your thoughts as I'm talking about all this?
Yeah, I totally agree. And as you were speaking, I kind of imagined the other fears that I have in my life, like the financial fears or maybe the security or the confidence. So I think that it's also part of being like my dad's approval, or because he always asks, "How much did you make this month?" And then I would be like, "Let's not talk about this. I don't want to say. I don't want to share with him anything." So it, although I would say, for example, I didn't make, I'm not gonna tell you how much I made, for example. Deep inside me, I would be like shaming myself for making only this much, for example. Um, Also, when you were talking about him like loving me for how I look, and if I gained weight, he might not like me anymore or love me anymore. So I noticed, I recalled that every time we spoke, he would be like, "Oh, you have those beautiful eyes, just like my eyes." So again, it's all about him. So you have beautiful eyes like my eyes. And if he sees my daughters, for example, he would be like, "Oh, you have your mom's eyes, who are just like my eyes." So and if there's something he doesn't like about me, he would refer to my mom. So I guess I I can see that if, for example, I gained weight, he would go back to, "Oh, it's your mom's gene." So this is what I got, like insights when you were when we were discussing this.
Yes, yes, thank you. From now into the future, what I see you doing to help yourself here is a couple of things. I see you continuing what I think is really great that you're doing, which is having a closer relationship with your mom and your sister, where you can share about what you're going through. So you don't keep it all to yourself. Do you feel comfortable if you want to complain about your dad to your mom? Is that something you can do?
Oh, we always do. Even
Right, right.
even even between, I have two other brothers, so we are four kids. So we always like talk about how dad did this and then dad did that, and then
Mhm.
we just become aware of that, and then we say, okay, even if he's not here, we are still talking about him, and then it becomes like a joke, and yeah, we express it. We express that I am annoyed because this is what he did. It's not
Yeah.
like I keep it to myself.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they're all understanding, and we all like try to help each other.
Yes. I'm so glad for that. And I also think, given the age that you're at, 29, in life cycle research, what often happens is that it's described that age 28, 29, 30, right around there, is often a turning point for human beings.
Mm.
And in one sense, up until about the age of 30, we're often living in response to our past.
Mm.
That's just where our psychology is at. It's where our soul is at. In our 20s, 20s are a very difficult age, in my
Mm.
opinion. It's in a strange way, it's almost harder, if not harder, than being a teenager. Because in the 20s, you're not fully an adult yet. You're no longer a teenager. You're trying to find your place in the world. You've moved out of your parents' house. Maybe you found a relationship. Maybe you're married. Maybe you have kids, and you're still on rocky ground. You still don't know exactly who you are, and you're still trying to clean up things from the past. And again, up to a certain age, around 30, we're living in more response to our past. Here's what my mother did. Here's what my father did. Here's what the world did. Here's what I dealt with when I was growing up. Here's all the things that happened. Right around age 30 ish, we start to look into the future in a different way. We realize, oh, wait a second, I'm me. And yeah, I dealt with all that stuff, but I'm now charting a different course for myself. It's a whole different experience of individuating or graduating from being the child of our parents.
Mm.
So right now you're still your mother's daughter, but you also, it sounds like you have a certain friendship. There's a certain
Yeah.
equality there. So there's a certain place where you can see her as an adult, and it sounds like she sees you as an adult. With your dad, you don't have that equal footing with him.
Mm.
He doesn't sound like he can really see you as an adult woman.
No. Mm.
And at the same time, you're experiencing yourself as his daughter, more like his little girl.
Mm.
And it's your job to gradually step into your adulthood with him. So, on some level, your mother's always going to be your mother, your dad's always going to be your dad. Even when you're 60 years old, if they're still alive, they're still your mother and your father. But there's also a place where you realize more and more that I don't live in their house anymore.
Mm.
I don't have to feel bad that he said this or she said that anymore, because I have my own family now. I have my own experience now. So I think that's the transition zone that you're in.
Mm.
And I'm sure you've tried this. But it would be interesting to see with your dad moving forward if you can begin to make requests of him.
Mm.
Not too many at once, maybe one at a time. It is very difficult for a narcissistic personality to change.
Mm.
Of all the psychological types, they are the ones that remain the most consistent throughout life.
Mm.
Once a narcissist, always a narcissist. But many people who are narcissist types are very trainable.
Mm.
But in order to be trainable, they need outside input.
Mm.
They need to hear from people in a very clear way. You know, Dad, I prefer that we don't talk about this topic unless I bring it up. I'm just giving an example. So for now on, whenever we talk, I don't want you, I don't wish for you to bring up such and such a topic unless I do. Are you willing to play by my rules? That's one request. Another request might look like, you know, Dad, I would love it once every time we talk for you to compliment me about something and you make it 100% about me.
Mm.
Just you say to me one thing that you're proud of me for. Just one thing. But you can't reference yourself.
Mm.
You can't say, I'm so proud how smart you are, just like me.
Mm. Yeah.
No, you have to say how smart I am, period. Once every call. It will, chances are, if you make requests like that of him, it'll sort of blow his mind a little bit.
Mm.
Because he's probably never heard you say that. Probably nobody says that to him. And he's not exactly going to know what to do with it. And then once you ask him, he's not going to do it right.
Mm.
So then you're going to have to correct him.
Yeah.
Like you're training a kid
Mm.
in how to do something. Like you're helping your little kid learn how to tie their shoes. They're going to make mistakes. So it's perfectly fair for you as an adult young woman to start to put adult requests or boundaries in your relationship with your dad.
Mm.
Because right now, what it feels like is that there's a little bit of bracing that goes on when you speak with your dad, meaning you don't quite know what's going to happen. And there's a part of you that's almost expecting to not feel good. Is that true?
Yeah.
So the way you claim some power there is you make requests.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, even if he can't comply, you've asked. You've stood for yourself.
Mm.
You're calling him into consciousness.
Yeah. We shifted the equation.
Yes. Yes. So in a way, the equation is you are now adult 29-year-old Hanin. You're not 13-year-old Hanin wishing that her dad was different and hoping that he loves her, even if you gain weight or don't gain weight or whatever. Now you're saying, hey, Dad, once every time we talk, it's just like a game. Let's play this game. I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel like my father's proud of me. You have to give me one good compliment every phone call.
Mm.
And see if you could have a little fun with it. See how he responds. And feel free to push him a little bit. How does that sound to you when I suggest that? Is that something that you think you can do? Is that even like appropriate for your family, for your culture?
Yeah, definitely. Especially that it doesn't have the element of like confrontation or argument or like you did this, you did that, you didn't give me. So it's in a fun way. We are trying to shift how things are, and me stop being in the 13-year-old Hanin and then being the adult. It sounds like fun, and I need to think more about what is of his interest, because again, he is self-centered, so maybe some requests don't mean anything to him. So I want it to be of his interest. At the same time, it's gonna be only about me.
Yes.
So trial and error, I feel like that is the best solution here.
Yes. Yes. Um, there's different types of narcissistic tendencies.
Mm.
I don't know where your dad fits in, but there's one type of narcissistic tendency where the narcissist just wants everybody to like them.
Yeah.
They just want everybody to like them. Some narcissists don't even care.
Mm.
They just want to be themselves, and however they show up, they show up. And if you don't like them, they don't care. There's a lot of narcissists that care about, oh, you think I'm great. Gosh, I'm a good narcissist because I'm worth thinking that I'm great because everybody else thinks I'm great. So I'm just saying, to your point, look for the places that you can make a request that benefits you, but gives him a win.
Yeah.
So the win might be, you just want to have a better and better relationship with your dad. And if there's a part of him that thinks, oh, I'm being a better dad, maybe that's a win for him. And a better dad means I fulfilled my daughter's request to say one compliment every phone call. So you'll need to explore what other ideas might be for you. Again, as you said, stated in the positive. Not the complaints, because a complaint is going to feel like an attack, chances are, to him, and he's just not going to be interested.
Yeah.
So in a strange way, then, it's not about, okay, Hanin, what do you and I need to do so we can extract this fear from you? So it's not about extracting the fear. It's about what we've been doing. What you've been doing is, first, you notice that you have it. You notice that it doesn't serve you. You and I get in a conversation and we get more curious about it. Like, let's actually look at, when does this fear come up? What else might it be connected to? And we notice that, wait a second, this fear leads to a very interesting place. In particular, my relationship with my dad, feeling loved, feeling accepted, and feeling that if I gained any weight, I'm not going to be loved, which is, excuse me, a deep fear that human beings have. All human beings have in some flavor, they have some flavor of a fear called, people won't love me if. People won't love me if I gain weight. People wouldn't love me if they knew who I really am. People wouldn't love me if they knew I wasn't perfect. People wouldn't love me if they knew I was depressed. Whatever it is. And sometimes we have good evidence for that. So you have the evidence from your childhood.
Yeah.
But the reality is, actually, your dad loves you in the way that he does and in the way that he can. Yeah. And I would bet you that if you gain lots of weight, he would say things, he might point it out, and on a deeper level, he'd still love you.
Yeah.
So part of it is also realizing that you can rely on you. In the worst case scenario, if you gain weight, the worst case scenario, will you still love you? Will your mother still love you? Will your sister still love you? Will your children still love you? Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, might it be difficult if you gain a bunch of weight and you don't want to? Sure. Nobody wants that for the most part. So it's also looking at sometimes the worst case scenario of our fear
Mm.
and just remembering in the worst case scenario, what would really actually happen in actual life.
Mm.
The people who love you the most will still love you. The people who you see every day and talk to every day, they still love you. So you actually don't lose love if you gain weight.
Mm. Yeah.
You might gain some judgment from yourself or a few
Mm.
people here and there, but you're old enough and smart enough to be able to handle judgments that are coming at you from the outside.
Mm.
People will judge anything.
Yeah.
So I just see this as a time when you're just stepping into your womanhood in a different way
Mm.
and in a good way. How are you feeling right now?
When I was like venting out, I felt a very strong, uh, heavy sensation on my shoulders. I I always feel that when I feel stressed, I feel like I'm overwhelmed, and I feel like deep sorrow inside me. So I had that feeling when we were discussing about my dad, and now I feel that the weight has lifted. It's like
Mm,
I'm able to breathe somehow a bit better.
yes,
Yeah.
that's so good. It's also good to notice in the future. It's great to see where that stress, how it lives in your body when you start to feel it,
Mm.
because it might come back. And when it comes back, if it comes back, you can say to yourself, oh, right, this is how it feels.
Mm.
It feels heavy. It feels like a weight on my shoulders. And oh, I also remember that that feeling doesn't have to live in me all the time. That sometimes I can meditate and let go of it. Sometimes I can just breathe and let go of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can just say to yourself, this too shall pass. This is not going to stay here forever.
Mm.
Part of it is when you get into that state, it feels like it's a life-threatening situation. Oh my God, this is so heavy. Oh my God, I can't handle this. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. And when we're in that state, it's about trying to relax into it a little more and just be with ourselves a little more and remind yourself that you can get present with yourself.
Mm.
So it sounds like a lot of it is you just learning how to be present with yourself in those moments.
Mm.
And I think that's sort of like a lifelong practice. And you'll get much better at it. And then as we get older, we get more challenges, like it's different challenges. Your kids are going to be going to school. Your kids are going to be having, boyfriends or girlfriends and getting married, and you'll be dealing with that, and the stresses of that. Or it's so there's always new stresses to deal with. And I think we just learn more and more how to be with ourselves.
Yeah. 100%.
So, what else are you taking away from our conversation today that's been useful for you?
Uh, it's like easing into this fear of gaining of I don't want to gain weight, and I never imagined that it has something to do with my relationship with my dad, and uh, it's something I surely want to like observe it more when I speak with him. I also noticed that he's always like bragging about what we do to other people. So that is one thing I don't want to like make it a part of the request thing. For example, I don't want to share. He doesn't know a lot about my life. He only knows the basics. So I feel that, okay, with the requests, there has to be some sort of boundaries with how much he's gonna know about what it's not because of him, it's because of he likes to brag about it in front of his part of the family and the neighbors and their society. So I don't want that to happen. So it's like finding the balance between easing the relationship and still having my private life instead of sharing it with the neighbors and the society.
Yes, understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's you learning how to be a young adult woman, taking care of yourself and understanding that your dad's love is never going to be perfect for you. Chances are it's this is some version of how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Can it get better? I really think so, yes. Is it going to get dramatically better? Well, probably not. How old is he? He's in his 60s?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, chances are he's not going to change dramatically. So your job is for you to shift and for you to grow and for you to make requests, for you to set your boundaries and begin to notice the places where, oh, my dad doesn't love me the way I would feel good about being loved, but he does actually love me.
Yeah.
In the way that he can. Because part of what we want as children is we want proof that my father loves me, my mother loves me. And we have a certain image of what that proof looks like.
Yeah.
If my dad just did this, and this, that means he loves me. I can finally relax. If my mom would just do this, and this, that means she loves me and I now have what I want. And I work with people, Hanin, in their 60s and 70s who are still angry at their parents. Their parents are still alive. And they still want their parents to be a person that they've never been their entire life. So at some point, we just learn, okay, here's who this person is. And my job is not to say to myself, I will be complete and I will be healed when this person loves me the way I want to be loved.
Yeah.
Yes, little requests here and there, but you realizing that you're loved. And trying to appreciate the small ways that you can take his love in. Even something like he loves to brag to the neighbors or the friends. That's strangely enough his way of saying, I love my
I love you. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I love somebody, I brag about how wonderful they are and all the great things that they're doing.
Yeah. And I think it's also important for me to identify when I am stepping into the 13-year-old Hanin versus who am I stepping into the adult Hanin when I am dealing with him or doing this request or, I don't know, picking up the phone. So sometimes I do shift to the 13-year-old Hanin and then I'm all, leave me alone. I don't want to. I do that. And yes. I only do that with my dad. And then I would be like, wow, what happened? Where am I? Yes. So yeah, it is important for me to make this distinction between who am I, what age am I in when I'm actually picking up the phone or maybe asking for him to do this or that. So
Yes. Yeah. And you're not going to be perfect all the time. So to me, it's fine if you told me next week, yeah, I spoke to my dad and I just was yelling and I was upset and I was being a 13-year-old girl, I would say fine. Because you now understand, you've now made the connection, and you're going to get better and better at taking care of yourself. And even when you become that little girl on the phone with him, afterwards, you're going to see it, you're going to notice it, you're going to get it, and it'll be easier for you the next time to not go there, or to not go there as much.
Yeah.
You'll get better and better and better as the weeks and the months as the years go by.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I have to say, without knowing him or knowing your mom, they did something right, because, you're such a wonderful young woman. You're intelligent and you're self-aware. And I think you just have all the right values and so many great things going for you. So somebody did something right in your life, including you.
Thank you so much for your kindness. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very confident that you're on the right track here, and that you now have a way to work with this.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't mean that this fear is not going to still be there. Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to gain weight. So right now, to me, just notice when that fear comes up. Remember these interesting connections that fear has to your relationship with your dad, to feeling loved, to wanting to feel loved in a certain way.
Yeah. And maybe also when I look at myself, for example, in the mirror, with whose eyes am I looking? Are they my dad's eyes or my eyes? So who am I when I'm looking at myself in the mirror? Yeah.
I love that. That's a great distinction. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Hanin, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really an amazing session. I did not even think about, again, this fear is actually linked to my own story with my dad. So that is by itself an eye-opener.
Yes. And I wouldn't have known either, until we started talking, because plenty of people have the fear of, I'm going to gain weight. But we can have it for many, many different reasons. Everybody's unique. Yeah. So really, it was just a conversation of, let's explore this, let's ask more questions. And it just became very apparent. So what a great thing.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
So thanks again, Hanin, for being here. I really appreciate you being so open and so willing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Take care, my friends, and more to come.
Hey, friends, we're so happy that you've joined us for another episode of The Psychology of Eating with Marc David. Are you loving these episodes? Then simply subscribe and you'll never miss an episode again. We'd also love it if you'd leave us a comment below so we can hear more about your own journey with food and body. And if you're curious about what we offer at the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, including our internationally acclaimed coach certification training that's rooted in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition, please head on over to our website, psychologyofeating.com. Until next time, take care. And remember, having the body you want starts with loving the body you have.